Thank you, everybody, and welcome to the Autonomy Region Conservation Authority regular board meeting for July 16th, 2026. Call the meeting to order at 4:04 p.m. We respectfully acknowledge that we are on the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississauga Anishinaabe. We offer our gratitude to First Peoples for their care for and teachings about our earth and our relations. May we honor those teachings. Welcome, everyone. Just a quick opening remark before we get into the agenda. I just wanted to update the board on a little bit of the consolidation. This week, there was an announcement for the project executives for the different regional associations, and the Eastern Lake Ontario Regional Conservation Authority project executive will be Allison McDonald. Allison is the current general manager at Raisin Region Conservation Authority. And at this time, that's really all we know. We received a quick welcome email from Allison, and I anticipate that very shortly in the coming couple of weeks that we'll get some information on the transition teams, and I will myself and CAO Lovey Smith will keep you informed as to how that progresses. But at this point, that's all we really know. Um, is there any? I can open up a little bit of a question, but I don't have a whole lot of information. That's pretty much all we know at this time. But I just thought I'd let the board know where we were at on that.
I was trying to find the thumbs down little emoji, but
Yeah.
thank you.
What's the region she's from?
So she's currently with Raisin Region Conservation Authority. So that's out on it would be within the new St. Lawrence region area,
Okay.
so towards Ottawa way.
Yep.
Hmm.
With that, I will ask for an approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve? Director Watt, Director Wilford, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Do we have any disclosure of conflict of interest this evening? Seeing none, if anything does arise, please advise the chair. We have no delegations. Moves us along to our minutes of our last board meeting, 2026-032, held May 21st, 2026. Can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt those minutes? Director Boyko, Director Huntley, all in favor? That is carried. Does anyone have any business arising from those minutes? Seeing none, that moves us right into our reports for approval for this evening. Our first report is 2026-033, our draft policy and guidelines for our enforcement and offenses manual. We have both the report and the document in our agenda this evening. We have our manager of plan review and permitting services, Don Allen, with us. Don, do you have anything that you'd like to comment on this report at all?
Nothing further other than to say a few remarks, if I may.
Sure, go right
Um,
ahead.
okay, thank you, Chair Metcalf and directors. I am pleased to provide an update regarding the draft policy and guidelines for Part 7 enforcement and offenses. Um, we can always call everything a manual, so you'll probably hear me say that a lot, but we do have a couple of manuals, so we won't get them confused. At the April board meeting, the draft policy and guidelines for Part 7 enforcement and offenses document was introduced. The document was approved by the board of directors to be posted on the website and circulated for comments. In summary, the new document addresses changes made to the Conservation Authorities Act and provides guidance and direction to regulation staff on how to use important enforcement tools such as stop orders and how to deal with modernized powers of entry. The document also provides direction on how to approach enforcement using a risk-based approach. It outlines specific procedures, providing clear, concise direction, advice, and examples for staff to reference when carrying out their duties. The document addresses the remaining policy gaps previously identified by staff No comments were received during the consultation period. The document is being brought back to the Board of Directors for approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
That's great. Thank you, Don. So we have seen this in draft form, and what we're looking at is for an approval this evening. Do we have any questions or comments from any of the directors on this manual? I don't see any. A lot of it is housekeeping, just updating process procedures, getting it in place, and I think it's a good opportunity now that we're doing these sort of things going into the consolidation to have everything in order when that time comes. So, seeing no questions, the recommended motion is be it resolved that report 2026-033 titled Draft Policy and Guidelines for Part 7 Enforcement and Offenses Manual be received. That the board approve the draft policy guideline for Part 7 Enforcement and Offenses Manual, and that staff be authorized and directed to do all things necessary to give effect to these resolutions. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Director Huntley, Director Taylor, any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor to approve. And that is carried. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Don, for your work on that and presenting today. Moves us along to item B2, 2026-034. We have our draft 2027 operating capital and apportionment budget. I will turn the floor over to CAO Lovie Smith to bring this report forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and directors. So this is the draft 2027 operating and capital and apportionment budget. I am seeking the board's approval of the draft budget tonight to be able to post and circulate to our member municipalities for comment and then bring it back to the September board meeting for approval. As referenced in reports, previous reports, the budget has been prepared with a 0% increase, and that's for a number of reasons after some work by staff. One is that there are some additional revenues that are now included in the 2027 budget. It does stabilize all of the current programs and services that Otonabee Conservation currently offers. And that's one of the main goals of the budget. And that it also does include a step increase. So in last year, the board approved a salary grid. So staff move through that grid in 2027. And then there is a 1% COLA with that. So it does ensure that there is retention of staff, in particular as we move through the consolidation. And so I am recommending the budget be approved for posting and circulation. I'm happy to answer any questions. My apologies. I do want to speak to the capital. So it was last year. There was a number of things. This budget is a good budget for a number of reasons. One is that over the last 4 years, we have been working to refine this budget. It just didn't happen in 1 year. There were lots of good process improvements, lots of efficiencies that were found, and realignment and right sizing is the term that I've used in previous years with revenue streams. So it is a really good budget as it is being presented. The capital budget is the same budget I had brought forward in last year in terms of a draft 3-year capital budget. So staff again reviewed that draft capital budget and brought it forward. So it is consistent with what the board has seen in previous years and consistent with the process that we have used to develop it. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'm happy to answer any questions that the board might have.
Thank you. Do we have any questions on this proposed draft budget from the board? I know we've talked about it a bit in the past. Director Boyko.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Chair. I'm looking at, I think it's page 7. It's 1.1 year over year summary. And there's just some numbers that I'm not questioning them. I just want to understand them. And as this, I'm looking at revenue, the top of the chart. You see where I'm looking? Okay, yeah, it just seems we've got a big jump, and I just need to understand why. I think I get it, but it says self-generated revenue, for example, was 116, and next year 402. That's a big jump. I wonder if you could explain that. Um, and the fees goes from 889 up to over a million. So could you explain some of those changes?
Uh, Thank you, Mr. Chair. So there is one other, I did actually note one edit that does need to take place in this particular page year over year. And so I would highlight the page 8, which is the pullout, if you will. It was a separate document, intentional, so that you could pull it out and it's you can see the entire budget. If you look on page, Director Boyko, on
Yep.
page 6, the revenue doesn't equal the expenses at the end. It's out
Yeah.
a little there, right? So there is this year over year needs I need to review it again before it is actually circulated. Page 8 is the actual budget that I'm seeking approval for. However, with that, I can say that the revenues from the marina that were not included in the 2026 budget are now included in the 2027 budget. That
That's
is
what
the
I've seen.
one component. We did not increase the total revenues from the plan review and permitting in the 2027. They remain the same as 2026. In part, we are actually seeing a drop right now in permitting, and just in the volume of permitting right now. It's very costly for construction right now. So we just remained the same in terms of our overall revenues, except for the additional revenue from the marina in Peterborough.
Excellent. Thank you.
My apologies, Mr. Chair and directors, I will have this page 6 cleaned up. Page 8 is the actual document with the budget.
Thank you, Director and Jeanette. Director Huntley.
Yeah, through you, Chair. I get the concept of the zero budget and whatnot, but does it make sense? Like, are there capital projects that we should get on this list before a transition team comes in and, all of our capital, thoughts down the road get wiped out? Or I'm just leery of, everything getting forgotten if it's not already on a budget, right? Like for when a transition team comes in and comes through. And then I have one more question after that, if you want to address that one first.
Sure. I believe we're in year 2 of a 3-year capital budget, but I'll let CAO.
That's correct, Mr. Chair. We are. And again, part of the focus when we originally prepared these budgets was to address some of the risks and liabilities of our assets that we had still out there. And so that's still the focus. It's the focus of this year and it's the focus of next year. It doesn't include necessarily there's new construction or new builds, a new privy, there's none of those in this current budget. I have provided all of the documentation to the consultants, and I will also be reviewing it with the new project executive in terms of what's already. We've been asked what are the capital plans for the authority. I would expect that they would continue to do that. They're not significant asks when I consider what other conservation authorities have. The other component is the capacity of the organization, the capacity of staff to be able to get the work done.
Right.
And so I'm very mindful that the budget and the work and how many hands, if you will, that we have to do the work. And so this is a very manageable work plan for the staff.
Okay. So just to, yeah, I was just worried that we would be in year 2 of a 3-year capital plan and have year 3 wiped out and none of the capital worked. So if you think that's under control, then I put my faith in you, of course. My second question, if I may, Chair, is on the, I think it was Appendix C, the one you submit. Like it has Peterborough County being the upper tier for Peterborough City, and Victoria County being the upper tier for City of the Kawartha Lakes. And I'm not sure that's quite correct, but it might be just the way that form has been forever.
Mr. Chair, this is a document that actually comes from MECP.
Yeah, it's in the apportionment.
We don't actually, this is not a document that staff create.
Interesting.
We can point that out, Mr. Chair, to MECP staff.
Just as long as our friends from Peterborough aren't getting knickers in a knot over it, it doesn't really matter to us.
Note taken. Thank you, Director. Director Black.
Yeah, thank you through your chair. Just with respect to the capital budget, there's 50,000 in for the Imagine the Marsh redevelopment. What I know the lookout is slated for demolition or some work. What's going to replace it, Mr. Chair?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So the lookout tower itself has been deemed at end of life. If you're familiar with the facility, it's a wooden structure that is failing. So we do need to replace it. So it's in discussion, and we had some preliminary discussion with the township staff with respect to suggestions and recommendations. So it isn't completely firmed up with what the replacement would be. We would anticipate coming out to Selwyn. We would anticipate engaging with the staff, to the council, and the community around some of the options that we have. Some of the options are replacing like for like, so a new tower. Another option that has been brought forward as a more sustainable option is an earth mound that actually builds up to an actual lookout. From an asset perspective, it makes a lot of sense, and from a naturalization, it makes a lot of sense. So it's not decided on. It's we know that we need to replace it, and we would like to have some community discussion with respect to what that might look like.
Follow up, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the current structure, it's on Otonabee land, or is it on township property?
It's on Otonabee conservation
property. It is on Otonabee because it's close there. Yeah, I think the community engagement is really going to be important because, as you know, there's quite a group of folks that keep an eye on that part of Selwyn Township quite regularly. So I think the community engagement is going to be a huge important piece to decide making those decisions. So appreciate that comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Any other comments or questions on our proposed budget? I don't see any. This will come around to us back in September. Our recommended motion for this report be resolved that report number 2026-034 titled Draft 2027 Operating Capital and Apportionment Budget be received, that the notice of draft 2027 Operating Capital and Apportionment Budget be sent to member municipalities and posted on the website pursuant to the requirements of Ontario Regulations 13996 and 40221, and that staff be authorized and directed to do all things necessary to give effect to these resolutions. A mover and a seconder. Director Baldwin, Director Black, any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Moves us along to item B3 2026-035, Hydro One Durham Kawartha Transition Project and easement. And I will turn the floor over to CAO Lovey Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So back in November of 2024, the board had agreed to enter into a preliminary review with Hydro One for the same property. They had completed all of their environmental assessments and shared that information with autonomy staff. Autonomy staff have reviewed it, and they've come back with requesting an easement. The and staff have no concerns with respect to that request. As per the guardrails that the provincial government has put in place, this requires approval of them to be able to enter into it, which I have attached their correspondence saying that we have their approval. The the authority solicitor has reviewed the agreement and also has made some recommendations, one recommendation, and that's included in the cover report. Hydro One has already accepted those, that amendment, and hence I've added the term amendment into the actual recommendations. I'm happy to answer any questions that the board might have with respect to this report.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Director Taylor.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Metcalf. Jeanette, in reading the agreement, I think it's attachment C on the links. In reading the agreement, if you go to page 2, and then under incentive payments, sorry. A says upon execution of the agreement, Hydro One shall pay the amount of $10,000. Then B says in closing date, they shall make a further incentive payment in the amount of $10,000. And then in C, it says they will make a further incentive payment of $2,266. So I'm confused by that, because earlier I think it said they were to make a one-time payment of $10,000. And then it does say something about they will pay legal costs, but I couldn't read that actually written into the agreement. So could you clarify that for me, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we do actually have confirmation that they have paid our legal costs to review it. And in fact, that invoice has gone directly to Hydro One. And so these incentive payments are sort of stepped out as they go through this. So it's the one-time agreement, and my apologies if this is not clear in my cover report, but the one-time agreement is to enter into the easements, and as they move through the project, so building it out and through the rest of the timelines, then B and C payments would come into play. They estimate this is going to be like a 2-year project at least. So in essence, B and C wouldn't appear to the authority until 2028.
Okay, so if I can, Mr. Chair, when it's all done, though, several years down the line, there should be compensation of about $22,600.
Mr. Chair, yes, for sure. They also did compensate the authority in the early agreement in 2024. So there was some compensation there as well, about $8,000.
Okay.
So if you were looking at a total, you're more in the 32,000 range.
Great, thank you.
The other component, Mr. Chair, I would like to add is that Hydro One is very aware that even though they have they would have this easement, they still do require permits from the authority in order to do what they need to do. It doesn't release them of that obligation.
Thank you, Jeanette. Any other further questions or comments? Don't see any. Our recommended motion. Does anyone hear all the racket behind me? The recommended motion is, be it resolved that report 2026-035 early access agreement with Hydro One be received, and that the board of directors approve the easement and compensation agreements as amended, that the chair of the board and the CAO be authorized to execute and amend the easement and compensation agreements, and that staff be authorized and directed to do all things necessary to give effect to these resolutions. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Director Huntley. Director Watt. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Moves us into our reports for information. Our first report is our CAO monthly activity report 2026-036. And I will pass the floor over to our CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It might appear as a simple report. We've actually been very, very busy. It's also the full season of camping and the marina and the conservation area land. So it's a full. There's lots going on, but Chair Metcalf already shared what we know about the consolidation and the timelines that we know about that, and that we've completed a number of reports that are sort of the cyclical, seasonal type of reports that we have. Other than that, I'm happy to answer questions. And staff are gearing up for our September meeting, where we're looking to present a really good report, to an interactive report for the board on our programs and services.
Perfect. Thank you, Jeanette. Director Baldwin.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I see, Jeanette, you've talked a little bit about the marina there. Would you prefer that I ask in September when you bring forth the report? I'm just wondering generally how things were going since we've taken over the marina in Peterborough. I'm comfortable either way. If you want to share something or if you want to wait for September, I'm good too.
Well, I'm happy to talk a little bit about it, but it is a learning process. I mean, anything like this is also new, but it's also not a learning process for the city staff as well in terms of the transitions. But we do have regular conversations, and I'm often involved in a lot of those conversations in terms of sorting out roles and responsibilities with respect to the marina. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing long term, and I don't know if it'll fall to this group or the other, but that whole area is kind of under review with the multi-use sport and entertainment complex that we're planning on down the road. Way too early for that, but I'm just wondering there may be an impact on the marina in the long term. So just kind of bring that to your attention.
I appreciate that, Director Baldwin. And we do hope to have some conversations with city staff at some point about the event center. We've tried a few times to reach out just because it is also in the floodplain, and we would like to be able to be on the front end of that conversation so that you incorporate some of that into the construction and design. But we do know there's a lot going on there in that part of town, right? And
Yeah.
So from Music Fest to the using the park to the marina, so it's a busy place for sure.
Very, very good. Thank you for the update. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I will add, Mr. Chair, that I have added to my schedule. So in August, I'm going to Director Wilford's community to present, but I also am presenting at the City of Peterborough on September the 8th, and then County of Peterborough, I believe it's on the 23rd. And those would be updates with respect to the consolidation. We anticipate having some legislation by that point. That's the timeline that we've been told.
Thank you. Thank you, Director. I have Director Watt and then Director Taylor. Did I not? Tom, you don't have a question. Okay. Director Taylor.
Thank you, Chair Metcalf. Jeanette, I'll just ask quickly and just a high level summary answer. You were talking about in your report, you're talking about the campgrounds, and you make the statement that staff continue to meet with the City of Peterborough to work through a number of issues. Are one of those issues a continuation of the problems we were having last year with some of the clientele at Beavermead Park?
That would be correct, Mr. Director Taylor.
Okay, thank you. I was afraid of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments regarding our monthly activity report, CEO? Seeing none, it is recommended that the board report 2026-036 titled CAO Secretary Treasurer Monthly Activity Report be received for information. Director Wilford, seconder. Director Taylor, all those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Moves us right along to our communications and media summary 2026-037. As always, we have a good report here with all of our stats for communications and medias and socials. Any comments or questions on that or anything specific that anyone wants to highlight? I see Warsaw Caves has taken the #1 spot for our top page visits on our website. So great job, Tom. Tom, do you have a question? Go ahead.
Not a question, it's a comment actually. I was talking to some people that were at the caves while they were working, but it was a kind of a retreat thing, whatever, and they thought the place was just fantastic and well looked after. So it was nice to pass that on.
Yeah, that is great. Thank you for that information. It's nice to hear those things once in a while. Any other questions or comments? I just do a quick shout out to Shelby, our communications and media guru. She does a great job of making sure she gets all the information and the word out there. Definitely through paths that most of us on this board wouldn't think of or be able to find our way through. So thank you for that. Can I get a mover and a seconder to receive the communications and media summary for information? I think Director Watt gave a quick hand there. Director Black, all those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. We have no correspondence this evening. Moves us to open forum. Does anyone have anything for open forum? Director Taylor.
Thank you, Chair Metcalf. Just FYI for the board, I want to give a shout out and a pat on the back to the Conservation Authority and in particular staff that we've been working with, Meredith and Candace. In Keene, we have 2 seniors residents that have embarked upon a tree planting program, and their assistance has been nothing short of impressive with putting this plan together for us and helping us get the trees and the volunteers to do it. Phase 2 of this program is going to go in September, which is even bigger than phase 1, but phase 1 went off without a hitch. And we now have 77 or 78 trees planted on this lot. There's about 200 more to come, as I said, but it's been really it's been really satisfying working with a couple of people that know what they're doing and know how to put these plans together and make things happen. So just a real shout out to them. Our residents in the two seniors residents are extremely happy. The neighbors around there are happy and excited. And it's just a really good project. Thank you to the Conservation Authority.
Thank you, Director. It's good to hear. Any other further comments or questions or comments on open forum? Seeing none, we have no closed session. Moves us to our next announcement of our next future our board meeting, which would be September 24th, 2026. It'll be at 4 p.m. We are going to have an in-person meeting that month to wrap up a few items. We'll see. We'll have some more information as to where that will be a little bit later on. And that brings us to adjournment. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening, and I will take a motion to adjourn. Director Boyko, Director Wilford, all in favor? That is carried. Thanks again, everyone, and we will see you around.
Thank you,
Thanks,
directors.
everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Everyone, have a great
Thank you.
summer.